cake decorating. Yeah. Yes, lots of extruding. I actually used a silicone yes. Yeah. Well, I actually realised that you can cut the little plastic tips that come with silicone into the shape of cake piping tips as well. So you can sort of just screw them straight onto the corking gun and off you go. So if you want to do any, home renos, silicone home renos, that's my Tonya Todman moment. Yeah.
What's the actual mirror made of?
It's mirror perspex, so it's not glass, and it's quite thin, which is why you get this sort of fun house effect. Because these works get kind of moved around a lot, I've sort of made the decision to always use perspex, so that there's sort of none of that anxiety about things, getting broken in transit, and also it's a bit lighter as well. And I think it kind of suits my overall sort of plastic fake kind of feeling that's going on.
Tell us more about the tables and how you make those.
Yes, well they sort of start out in a very similar way to the cabinets. It's sort of, I basically build up a initial shape out of MDF and wire and expanding foam. And then on top of that I use air-dried clay to sort of build up all the patterns and the flowers. I even hand make all the little flowers and patterns and pieces that are on there. And then from that stage I make what's called a sock mould, which is it's a one-piece mould that just has a seam that runs the length of it, and then cast in expanding foam, which is great for large sort of volume forms. So it's high density industrial expanding foam. So it's got the same sort of hardness as timber once it's set. And they also have timber embedded in them as well, so they've got a bit of reinforcement there. But yeah, the good thing about moulds is that you can do something incredibly detailed, and once you've got your mould, you can kind of keep casting it for all the different chemicals have various sort of lives with the moulds, and the foam actually is probably one of the least kind of sort of destroying of the mould. So with the epoxy, I can only really get 4 to 6 casts for each mould, whereas with foam you can get up to sort of 20 to 30. So yeah.
Can you talk about the influence of your childhood that kind of stood for the fantasy element that I can see children adoring, or was it the castles that you went into that influenced you?
I think sort of a bit of both. Like I've always, when I was a teenager, I really loved fantasy art, which was, at art school, that's not okay. But I sort of learned to reconcile my love of I love reading, fantasy novels and very, sort of kitsch, and I really love, I was a girl who loved unicorns and dragons and, all the rainbows, all those kind of, very girly sort of, dreamy things. I was a total dork, in case you're wondering, I was always, wishing I could fly away on a dragon or something. So I just, I still quietly love fantasy art, and I've kind of reconciled, my position as a contemporary artist in Australia with my kind of, love of fantasy art. And I actually heard, when I was in second year at university, a woman came from Los Angeles to speak called M.A. Greenstein, and she was like the sort of the light that I'd been waiting for. She gave this whole lecture about art Los Angeles and how it was so influenced by cinema and by by Hollywood and by special effects and by science fiction and fantasy, and that was okay, like that was actually driving this sort of the whole art world in Los Angeles, and that was just so great because up until that point, everyone had kind of, had just said, no, it's not okay, So that made me feel really good and lose a bit of the sort of art school self-consciousness towards having that as an influence. So it's sort of nice to have those moments where, and I think you feel like, I think at art school there's so much emphasis on being serious artists and producing serious, contemporary art, that you kind of forget that outside of art school there's this whole art world which is not really like that, and that there's so many there's kind of a niche for everyone in a way, that you don't have to fit the art school mould. And I got some very savage criticism at the beginning of my time at Victorian College of the Arts, where I was essentially told to consider another career that I wanted. So, and I'm actually going back there to work this year. So there's a certain lecturer who's, probably just going to be glaring at me for the next semester.
Thanks, Kate. Are there any more questions? Yep, just to the back.
The work's extremely large time consuming. Can I ask approximately how long does it take to create a recipe?
Well, look, I tend to work incredibly hard, long hours for short periods of time. So I essentially spent about 3 months getting all of this ready for this showing. I did have some of it all ready to go, but in general I'd probably spend, on average each project I have 3 to 4 months to do it. So I usually work in a way where I work really for a long time, over about a sort of 8 to 12 month period, and then I'll take a quite substantial time out. And it's worked out quite well that over the last 2 years that I've done that, and I've had overseas residencies lined up where I've then just gone away and had a total break from it all and just researched some new things. And that's happening again this year. I've got another couple of crazy months coming up, and then I'm going away. So it's then I'll come back refreshed and start all over. It kind of goes in cycles. So even though at a time like this I feel like I've got no life outside of the studio, you know that in a few months' time it'll all calm down and you can relax. Yeah?
You've talked about how kitsch is seen in art establishments and perhaps how you see it and where your personal aesthetic came from. So I'm wondering what you think of kitsch in contemporary society, how it operates now, perhaps outside of the art gallery, what it means to people, and in fact, what it means, the difference between art and kitsch, if there is one.
Yes, well, I mean, I think this is a very intellectual question.
Sorry, I'm sorry. feel free to laugh while you do that.
Well, I mean, I sort of think that, like kitsch, because I think Australia is starting to kind of feel that it's more part of Asia rather than Europe, and in places like Japan, kitsch is such a kind of almost accepted part of design, and it's not cringed upon, it's sort of the visual and the sort of language that they use. And I think that influence has come here a lot more through, children's cartoons and toys and that kind of thing. So I guess I feel that, it's a very it's always a sort of children's thing. And so, I don't know, does that kind of vaguely answer your...
Or whatever answer you need to give.
Yeah.
Is it other question?
Yeah.
Can I build on that?
Yeah.
I'd like to hear what sort of artistic traditions you see yourself coming out of. I mean, there's a talk about neo-romanticism at the moment, so
Yeah.
perhaps that's what...
Well, I don't know, I kind of sort of feel I don't know, like I like to feel like I'm just sort of making my own kind of thing up as I go along. But people talk about, there's this word that I'm starting to hear of post-kitsch and, you know, new sort of romantic kind of stuff. And I don't know, like I always sort of feel like I just kind of work in my own world and I don't think about things like that. I let other people kind of find a category for me. If that, since we're, as humans, we're so into, you know, ordering things and organising people into, you know, their sort of pigeonholes. So I leave that to someone else. Yeah.
Do you collect anything like kitsch?
No, I'm actually, well, I do on a small scale, but I live in a very, very tiny flat and have a huge studio instead. So I'm actually, by nature, I'm not a hoarder. I'm a sorter and discarder or recycler of things. So I guess, I don't know, like I do collect little knick-knack things, like people give me, you know, little animal figurines. I think that's the kind of thing that tends to come my way. Someone finds a little plastic squirrel or something and it ends up on my shelf in the studio. Yeah.
You said before that using synthetics is a deliberate choice, and it occurs to me that everything you use is actually extremely poisonous. Like these are really, you know, resins and things are really volatile, poisonous compounds. So that's a deliberate, I guess, underscoring of the fake nature idea?
Well, look, it's just sort of the materials that I will sort of create the result that I'm after. But I'm very aware, and I have, you know, researched various sort of, you know, safety, handling and disposal and that aspect of it. And, you know, I always, you know, dispose of them in the way that you're, you know, meant to be, you know, responsible towards the environment and so forth, and use them in a, you know, safe manner. So I sort of, it's sort of a balance between, you know, getting the result that you want and feel happy with, and the, you know, and the kind of bad effects of the materials. So, you know, and I try to be responsible in that way.
But for meaning, I think it's quite interesting that you have this fake nature and everything is so poisonous. So I wonder if there was a completely green alternative, maybe you would not use it because it would take away that duality of meaning. Right?
Yes, yeah. Look, if there was something that was safe, I would try and use it. But at the moment, unfortunately, there's sort of not. But I mean, there are developments being made in those materials. So, you know, one day it might be completely green.
Okay, we'll take one more question.
Some new ideas. So where did you come here?
Well, I'll sort of work